What are you doing about the dreams, the goals, the desires that you have in your mind and your heart? I hope you're not sitting on them. I hope that you are not being afraid of criticism, being afraid to take risks and go after it and get out of your comfort zone. I hope you're not doing that. I hope you're going after it, because you don't want to live a life looking back a couple years from now, regret that you never made it happen, never did what you needed to do to achieve those dreams, those goals, and those desires. More and more I'm hearing stories about individuals who are tired of the modern American lifestyle and who want something different for them and for their families. And if you've seen the video, and if you haven't checked it out already, check out the video that we did with the Holler Homestead. They moved all the way from California, all the way out here in North Carolina where we live, to start a homestead. They wanted a life that was different for them and for their family. And longtime viewers of ours may remember a young man named Ben, who's a very respectful young man, and he has been a huge blessing helping us out at different times here on our farm. But a number of weeks ago, his family embarked on their goal, their desire to start a homestead. And it's been so neat to see the different pictures and videos that he has sent me of all these different milestones that they are beginning to hit as they're setting up their homestead. Like when they first struck water for digging their well. And Ben's mom, Laura, has had this dream, this goal, this desire deep down inside of her to be a stay-at-home mom and a homesteader. But because of a number of health issues that her husband has dealt with over the years, she has had to be the main provider, and carry the main workload for her family. And as a result, she has had to put many of those desires deep down inside of her on the back burner and sacrifice for the benefit for her family. But now, after all these years, her prayers are being answered and she is being able to start the homestead that she's always dreamed of. Once we arrived at their homestead, Laura was super excited to show us around, and she began showing us her house that they plan to have finished just in a few months.
Put a desk here, that's the master bedroom, master bathroom. And then in here is probably my favorite part of the house, which is why I even picked this plan. This is the kitchen.
Oh, that'll be nice.
15 feet. The counters go all the way around the horseshoe with the island in the middle.
That'll be perfect. That is beautiful. You got a great view right out there.
Yeah.
And if you have cows out here, you can see them.
I have thought about right over here putting some good fencing in and putting the cows.
There we go.
Put it in my freezer, which will be over there.
There we go.
And here's the island. I have the stove in the island, so if I'm standing here cooking, I can talk to Mark in the living room, or you know, when all the kids come home, there's so many of them, they can all fit at the table right there.
I love the wide open.
Right, that's what I want to do.
And then the view too.
Absolutely.
So are you having a deck back here?
Yes, we will eventually.
Okay.
Right, at first we'll just have to put some steps, but we will put a deck eventually.
So will you finish these areas up here for like bonus room, or?
No.
No?
We'll probably just have storage.
Storage?
Yeah.
Because you can make a good amount of storage up there.
We do have some steps, attic steps going in there in the carport, so we have access to.
There we go. So where's Ben's room?
Right here?
There we go.
Yeah, he's got a big window and a bathroom in between the two kids' rooms.
There we go. That'd be neat.
My thought about where to put the main garden is, you know, if Mark is having a bad day and he's sitting here in the living room and he can't go anywhere or do anything, he can at least look out. And so I thought maybe the best place to put the garden was between the house and the barn. Because it drops off on both sides, so we have drainage. But that's what I want to talk to you about. The ground is not as good. It's more rocky there. Mm-hmm. There are some other areas that are better, but they're more difficult to get to. Behind the barn is a real nice dark soil. It's better soil, but it's less convenient. And if there were deer out there, or you wouldn't necessarily see them as if you were right here.
Yeah. Over the years that Laura had been waiting for the right time for her dreams and personal interests to be fulfilled, she had been compiling them all in a notebook.
that every time I have an idea of something I really want to do,
Yeah.
I write it down.
There we go.
But I've never been able to because I've always just worked so much. You know?
Now you have the opportunity to do those ideas. There we go.
I can take my chair and I sit here and I look at my notebook and I'm like,
There we go.
That's the one.
There we go.
It's always a joy for me to see others pursuing their dreams and chasing the things that they want to achieve, and seeing them actually put the work in putting them into place. But one thing that Laura said that made me feel really good is when she named me among a number of others that she looked upon for inspiration.
But I have a lot of ideas. I don't necessarily have the skill to put them in place, but that's when I look at people who do know a lot more than I do. I've been looking a lot at, Doug and Stacy's and yours, of course, learned so much from you. And of course, you've helped Ben so much. You've mentored him for a year and a half now, and he's learned so much. He is just chomping at the bit to do everything at once. He wants to just do everything. Now, I want to do it now. But I'm a little bit more cautious. Let's take things a little at a time, a little bite at a time, because I don't want to get over my head.
Yep. I recommend that because you start doing too many things and it's like you're not doing anything well.
So yeah, I do want a cow and I want chickens and I think that I just need to look at everything and prioritize. What do I need to do first? Of course, the house is first. All of our resources are tied up in the house, and we're building the house, so it's a lot of time and sore muscles and sunburn. And but it's good. It's a good thing.
Yep, it sure is.
We like it. We enjoy it, and it's we're invested in it because we're doing it.
Yeah, and it's so neat to be able to see the fruits of what you're doing.
Oh yeah,
it's the tangible results.
Absolutely.
Starting a homestead can be so exhilarating, yet a lot of beginning homesteaders make the mistake of getting themselves over their head by taking on too many things and too early. And this was a mistake that I made too. And as a beginning homesteader, you have this excitement, but you don't have the experience and the wisdom necessary to take on the right task. And making sure you get the right advice from the right people is extremely beneficial. And Laura seemed very receptive to the advice that I was giving her on narrowing your focus. And after they complete their house, she plans to start next a fall or winter garden. And I offered her some advice on where she should place that garden.
But this fall, after October, we could start planting winter crops. Some kale and some greens and things that can go all the way through the winter. Root vegetables. All of those things are really good for health for Mark, and that's mainly what I'm trying to focus on is what's the best for him.
Probably making sure he gets a lot of good greens and chlorophyll.
Absolutely.
To keep his body flushed out, and anti-inflammatory property foods.
Definitely.
So.
Definitely.
Well, looking right outside here, I see a couple things.
Okay.
I see two real spots that I would suggest doing your garden. One would be immediately right out here.
Right.
The other one would be over there.
Okay.
Reason why I think here would be a good spot is if you wanted to irrigate with rainwater catchment, this would be a natural, you can hook up your gutter system and have it do drip irrigation or whatever right here. And also, like you were saying before, you guys can look right out, Mark, and see right out here. And I think that would be a good place to start. I think you're going to have to add soil wherever you put the garden, just because the clay is there's just so much clay here, just like our house.
North Carolina dirt.
So the first thing I would there's two things I would tell you to do right off the bat once you decide that this is the area that you want to do it. Another reason I recommend these areas here is they call it, I think, Zone 1, and that's the areas closest to your house, and especially as you get to winter. You're not going to go way out there when it's cold to go work in the garden, but if it's like right here near your house, and if you're working here like you were saying, you could keep an eye on Mark at the same time and look inside the window or the door or whatever and keep an eye on him. But I would, one, get your soil tested, and I would, two, if you haven't gotten the tarp already, go ahead and tarp over it. So that way you're going to have to buy compost anyways, but you need to know what kind of amendments you're going to need to go with.
Yeah, definitely.
And the advice that I gave to Laura applies to anybody else who's starting a garden for the first time. The first thing you want to do is make sure you get your soil tested to make sure you have a baseline and you know what you're dealing with to begin with your soil. And then the second thing you need to do is, especially if it's going to be some time before you're able to actually start working in the garden, is go ahead and get you a tarp, a silage tarp, or use cardboard or something to smother out the unwanted plants, the weeds from growing. And this will also just help prep your soil and keep some moisture in there before it comes time for you to work on it. And then the third thing you need to do is go ahead and get you some compost. Get some compost when it comes closer to the time of you getting ready to work in your garden, just to help with building up the soil. As I looked around the property with Laura, I suggested to her some permaculture principles to put in place. One is, if you're looking at zones based on permaculture, zone 0 is your house. And you want to have your gardens, especially your immediate gardens, in zone 1, and that's the areas closest to your house, and the areas that are going to need management and you tending to it more often. Because if it's close to your house, that means you're more likely to check on it on a regular basis. The further away it is, the less likely you're going to check on it.
Yep. And overall, I would keep in mind, and I would it was something we kind of learned a little bit the hard way, but we somewhat did it, is just that first year, just be in the process of just learning the land. You guys, priority is the house, but don't try to do too much. Just got to get a feel over. I would, if you're gonna do a garden, I would do the garden like we talked about there. But then that would probably be all that I would add this first year till you guys get settled, because there's a lot of energy involved in just doing this part of it.
Oh yeah, it is.
So I'd hate to you to get wore out or burned out too faster than you should. So you have to calm Ben down a little bit.
I know, it's hard to hold him back. He's got the bug now.
Yeah, I would say just focus on the house, this garden area, and just build it from there, and try to do both well, and then build on from there. Because I'd hate to see you start one thing and then you start another thing, but then you're like, oh no, we're not doing that as well as we should, and you're kind of like divided on your energies.
And thinking beyond fall and winter, but thinking further ahead in the next year or 2 years, she even has areas in zone 2 and 3 of permaculture design where she could do fruit trees.
With this area being flatter, further away, this would be a much better area for like fruit trees and things that you're not going to have to tend to on a regular basis. I would definitely do like around your house. Yeah. And then if you have your animals and this is your barn, and it's just a natural flow for your whatever you need to do in the barn, and then your animals right here.
Right. We're gonna put, we haven't closed it in because we're gonna put side.
Yep. I thought you might do that. So will you have stalls here for like handling it if you're doing? I don't know if you plan to do dairy cows at some point. There you go. But, you got plenty of area to do both.
Yeah.
But there's so much potential on this property for her to do so many other things. There's some further zones out that she has on the property where she could have cattle or sheep or a number of other things. And right now, where they're staying temporarily while their house is being built, they have their camper set up in an area, a shelter that will be a future barn. So there's so much here that they have, and so much potential for them to work with here. So just imagine for a second what this homestead can become.
I set out on a road that I built with my own two hands. I met friends on the way, people chosen to make a stand. I felt strong in the sun as I walked onto pastures green. Saw forgiveness together, spaces in between. And I'll be with you through the night. And I'll turn every wrong to right. Baby, we're children of summer, we're meant to be free. Honey, we're not like the others, no reason to be.
Just like with any goal, anything that you're trying to go after, that you're passionate about, There's going to be people who criticize you, who don't believe in what you're doing. And Laura faced the same thing and has been facing it. She has people saying, just because she has kids that are grown, saying that she needs to retire and doesn't need to get into this homesteading stuff.
Yeah, you need to quit work and retire.
Yeah, like you said, you're not 98.
Retire? Come on, I still live a lot to do. I have a lot of life to live. I'm only 48.
Yeah.
That's, you know, even though my kids are grown, and I'm technically in a different stage of life now because the kids are gone. I'm 48. I still have a lot to do.
Yeah.
And I have a lot to live, and I have a lot to take care of.
Yeah.
And I still have children to raise. You know, Ben is just 15.
Yeah.
And I have 2 grandbabies now.
Yeah. It's a good place for them to come spend time with you.
Absolutely.
And run around.
Absolutely. It's a benefit to having children young, because then they're gone and you still have life to live.
Yeah. And another advantage of having the ages, like especially Ben, is he's able to help you out in so many ways.
And he wants to.
Yeah.
He wants to. He's a good kid.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. And he wants to help out. And he's strong.
He is.
He's
Yeah,
stronger
he
than
keeps
I
getting
am.
stronger and stronger.
Yeah, he's stronger than I am. When we built the barn, you know, the day they brought the trusses in, I thought, all right, here we go. I'm going to build these trusses up here. I got the truss about 7 foot up, and I was shaking. That was it. That's all I could do. That was it. I was just like, this is ridiculous. And Ben, he jumped up on the top.
Yeah.
You know, 18 feet up, and he threw a rope down and tied it to the truss, stood on the top, and just pulled the truss up.
Wow, there we go.
Every one of them.
That's great.
And I knew instantly how much stronger he is than me.
And after Laura showed us around, I asked her the question that I like to ask everyone, and that is, why? Why have you guys decided to sell your stuff, come out here in the middle of nowhere, people thinking you're crazy for doing so, living in a camper temporarily, to set up and build a house? Why?
Well, the main reason that we need to do this is simply for our health. And, you know, as the mother of the family, I'm trying to take care of my family, and I'm trying to feed them the best way that I can. And my husband and I have been married 29 years, and I met him when I was 18, got married when I was 19. First year had a baby, and our baby was early. She was 3 months early.
Wow.
And she had a tremendous amount of brain damage. And she lived, but has had profound difficulties. And then we went on to have more children. We had 5 children. And then my husband got cancer. And we made it through that, had treatments, had surgeries, made it through that. And then he got Parkinson's disease. And Parkinson's disease is progressive. So at first, it's just an annoyance. And you can kind of deal with it with medication. But after a while, it progresses. And it progressed, you know, to a point where he couldn't work anymore. Pretty quickly.
Wow.
Pretty quickly. He couldn't work anymore, so I worked. And it wasn't our plan. It was not our plan for me to work. I was going to stay at home with the children. But I worked a lot. I worked a lot to take care of them. 5 kids is a lot. You know, through all these years, I've always had a big garden. Always had a big garden, and mostly just to feed my children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, out of necessity. I needed more food for them.
Yeah.
But I wanted good food for them.
Yes.
I wanted good food for them, and I didn't like driving by the farmers and seeing all the chemicals that are sprayed.
Exactly.
And seeing, you know, all the negative effects of chemicals in your food. So I tried to grow big gardens to feed them, you know. And now, you know, my husband has progressed to a point where his doctor said, you shouldn't be by yourself anymore. So all this time that I've been working 40, 50, 60 hours a week trying to take care of my family and my children and the bills and the mortgage, and now I'm at a point where I need to stop and be at home.
Yes.
I have to stop and be at home with him. I have to take care of him, and I still have children to take care of. Most of my children are married and gone and have left, flown the coop. I still have a child to take care of.
Yes.
Ben is 15 now, and he's a great help to me, But now that I have to stop work, our house was not working for us You know, Mark, he has good days and bad days, and on a bad day he might need a wheelchair. And you couldn't get a wheelchair in our doorways.
Oh, wow.
The house was not set up for that. So I thought, well, if we're gonna make these life-altering changes, I'm gonna quit work. We need a different house. So we might as well do what I've wanted to do all along, but I've been working so much, I just haven't had a chance to, or haven't had the ability to. So I quit my job, I sold my house, and we found this piece of property of 30 acres, and it's basically a virgin piece of property. It hasn't been farmed, it hasn't had, you know, the chemicals sprayed on it and everything. And my goal is to help Mark and my children to be the healthiest they can possibly be. And I think that means growing my own food. And I know where it comes from. And raising my own chickens that I know weren't given hormones and antibiotics and who knows whatever else it is that they give them. I don't want that for them. You know, so my goal in doing this is to be as healthy as possible and to take care of them the best way that I can.
I gotta give you a hug because you're such a champion for being able to persevere through all that and then kind of put your desires on the back burner while you're providing and sacrificing for your family. And then now you're at the point where you feel like it has to happen now, but then at the same time you're also getting rewarded with seeing some of those desires that you've had in you for so long, being able to actually do them. So that's fantastic.
We're excited. We're very excited about doing this and following through with it and making changes in our lives and hopefully to be healthier. You know, I'm not saying that eating organic and trying to be as chemical free as possible will cure Parkinson's. It won't. There is no cure for Parkinson's, but I can make him as healthy as I possibly can, and that is my responsibility. It's all of our responsibilities to be as healthy as we possibly can.
Yes, you're right. And it's neat to see people like you who unfortunately or regretfully have to deal with some type of health circumstance to really drive us that way, but a lot of people are doing that. And for those of you who are watching out there, it's not weird to want to take control of your health and for the health of your family. It's not weird. So hopefully their story inspires you to do the same if you're having some of those desires and maybe you're dealing with a health challenge in your family. And you got a good strong farm hand to help you out with Ben, and those of you who watch our vlog for a long time, Ben has been right on our farm helping us out and hopefully learning a lot as he's been with me helping out on the farm. So you definitely have
been a great blessing to us for Ben to have worked with you for about 1.5 years now, and he's learned so much, learned a lot, and it's beneficial for him, but it's really going to help me out. Because as we go through and do things, and Ben says, I've done that. Mike showed me how to do that. I can do that. So it's been, you know, I have the desire to do this, but I don't always have the knowledge to do it. And that's why it's so helpful to me to watch your vlogs. And I've also watched, you know, a few others, especially with chickens and fencing and how to move things around. And that's been particularly helpful for me. Very helpful for me.
Good.
I can't wait to see how this homestead develops and how Laura implements many of the ideas that she has accumulated over the years, all the while being right there to serve and assist her husband Mark whenever he needs it.
We like it out here. You liking it out here? Yeah?
And Laura also envisions this homestead as being a blessing to them now with being able to provide healthier food and being able to share life together, but also to be a legacy of something that she could pass on to Ben and being able to live there and work there if he so chooses, and even a place where the grandkids can come and just spend time. This month we're going to be sharing the contributions and donations that we receive from you all through Patreon or PayPal with Laura and her family to help be a blessing to them to jumpstart their homestead. So if you would like to contribute, please check out the show notes below. Well, that's it for this vlog. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, grow on.
I wanna be more